Hey guys, if you checked out my last video about the dynamic wing tee, you know that Coach Albaugh got a little bit long-winded going over the offensive attack in the wing tee and decided to break it up into two separate parts. One where you basically focus on the Buck series, which I'll put a link to in the bottom of this video. And this video is going to be doing a quick recap of why you maybe want to check out his video about the belly series. Up on the board here is strong side belly. And this is a great example of making sure you design a system that the plays complement each other, and each and every single play is in the system because it has a very, very specific purpose. And just like I mentioned in the other video, it reminds me of Glacier Clinic, where you sit down, you have the first session. It's a presentation, give you a basic overview of the offense, and then the second session gives you some really great details and coaching points, and then the third one really puts it all together, lets you see the big picture.
This video is a quick review of the belly series as part of the dynamic wing tee presentation by Nate Albaugh. He goes over the strong side belly series, starts off, talks about Rocket, and he talks about Rocket for 20 minutes. And the number of coaching points in that 20 minutes, that on its own, I think makes this video worthwhile. And then more importantly, just like a Glacier Clinic, this is tying in how Rocket fits in the system within the belly series, and then more importantly, the whole system. And that's something that you get at Glacier Clinics when you sit in that second and third session. Coaches give just tons of coaching points. Obviously, the point of Rocket is to stretch the field horizontally. He's talked about that in other videos, and now he really gets into the details of that and the idea it sets up complementary plays. That's the intent of the play. And then numerous coaching points. Obviously, the blocking assignments, reviews the technique for race skate, doesn't call it reach block, and that race skate on its own, I think that's, if you run Rocket, this video is worth watching. Talks obviously about the motion timing and gives some real good coaching points. He can speak to it much better than myself on the toss mechanics by the quarterback. And then lastly, I found it really interesting. He talks about the rationale for sending the fullback opposite. If we go back and look at the diagram, the B back there goes opposite of the Rocket, and most wing tee and flexbone teams do that. He talks about the rationale for why he does that, and I found that interesting. And then the biggest compliment off that is the strong side belly. As you see in the diagram there, talks again, 10 minutes of just great coaching points. The intent of the play, it's obviously to hit underneath pursuit to the horizontal stretch created by Rocket motion. He provides numerous coaching points on the play. Talks obviously again about the blocking assignments, gap down backer, the G-pull, talks about those techniques, provides great coaching points on the backfield mechanics of the quarterback and fullback, so that way the play hits as fast as possible, some ideas for practicing it, and then kicks around some ideas for improving the blocking scheme, a couple blocking adjustments they have used, and a couple that he's interested in trying out at some point. After the strong side belly series, he talks about the weak side part of the belly series. Starts off with the ISO play, and then talks about the ISO play with the influence pull by the guard, why you might want to do that. And then what I found really interesting, talked about the belly sweep. I was a little bit familiar with the play. Coach spends, in the 7 minutes he talks about it, I felt like I learned a lot. I understood the intent of the play. It's going to be based off that weak side, outside linebacker. And what I really liked, he really emphasized, it's a get the ball in space play. I think us coaches fall in the trap too often of the only way to get the ball in space is to throw it or to be in spread formations. And he points out, in the wing tee, it's a condensed formation, but it is a great way to get athletes in space, get the ball in space. Gives coaching points. Again, you're running it based off the outside linebacker. Lots of very thorough details on the quarterback fake and the handoff mechanics, which he argues is the number one thing on the play that makes it go. Briefly talks about, the fullback bending away and his aiming points, the path of the wing on the sweep, and just I really enjoyed the simplicity of the blocking scheme, and he was very thorough in the techniques. Last play he talked about was the wedge play. Points out, it's another way to hit the ball up the middle. If you're under center, and it doesn't necessarily have the guard pulling on the trap, you don't need the trap kick out per se, something he talks about. So Great video. Check it out. Number one, if you're interested in the wing tee, obviously. Number two, I think this video, along with the Buck video, it's a great example of building an offensive system of complementary plays with very specific purposes. Something I think anybody who's coordinating an offense, designing an offense, needs to keep in mind. Tons of coaching points on the rocket play, the belly play, the blocking techniques and adjustments on those plays, the backfield and ball handling dynamics needed to make the play successful, and then most importantly, he's sharing the theories for why every play fits, which gets you thinking as an offensive coach. So great video. Go check it out if you are interested at all.
As always, guys, if you have questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Check me out and follow me on Twitter at Coach Klee. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. And if you have anything that maybe requires a longer response, hit me up at coachbrienklee@gmail.com. Thanks as always for tuning in. See you again.